If you spend any length of time with Eric Madia, you'll quickly learn that this sports performance expert is driven and motivated by assisting athletes to reach their peak level of sports performance and assisting them to maintain an active and committed fitness lifestyle. However, you'll also rapidly come to know that Eric is a man of many talents, interests, and perspectives. Everything from food, sports, nutrition, and music. Eric is an encyclopedia of knowledge and is willing to share it with anyone who may be willing to listen. He's the head of sports science for the New Jersey Titans hockey team, and he holds the same role for the New Jersey Sports Performance Lab right in the heart of New Jersey. He joined me this week to discuss the evolution of sports science and his life. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. So, Eric, if you're ready, I'll welcome you to the program, and we're excited to talk to you this morning about sports science. So great to see you, and thanks so much for being here.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
So, Eric, you tell us that you're an open book and that you've had plenty of experiences for sports, fitness, and music. So, I'll begin by asking you, why do you feel that you're an open book, and how have you got to where you are today?
Sure. So I'll give three examples of how I'm an open book and how I've gotten to the point that I'm at today. I'll start with the music one. I've been playing music all my life. Music's a huge part of my life and a part of my existence. First concert I ever went to was actually 4 doors down from me. VH1 used to do this thing called the Backyard Barbecue Bash, where they would basically like throw a legitimate concert in somebody's backyard. My neighbor's a firefighter, and one of the guys at his fire hall won the contest, but his house was really small. He couldn't house this. So my neighbor decided to step in and say, hey, like I've got, a bunch of acreage, like, throw it here. So my parents and I, like we came back one day, and at the top of our street, there's like security and everything. We're like, okay, like somebody gets shot, like what's going on? So we asked the guy, like, hey, like we live here, like can we get through? He's like, oh yeah, like John Mellencamp is gonna be performing at like this person's house. I'm like, wait, what? like I'm 7 years old. I'm like, first of all, who's John Mellencamp? And second of all, like what is going on? My parents are like, so, all right, do we still go through? And he's like, yeah, no, you're fine. So for a what's it called? A dress rehearsal, they invited the whole street to come down and like they performed like a dress rehearsal for us. So we basically got to see him for free. And then the next day he actually performed like a live concert that was shot by VH1. So I'm like 7 years old, just like chilling in my neighbor's pool watching John Mellencamp perform. And it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. It was crazy. Next one I'll do a little bit more hockey related. I've been playing hockey again since I was about 5 years old. When I was 15, I almost died playing hockey. So I was playing two sports. I was playing on two teams. I was playing one for my school and one travel. One of my buddies I was playing against, we played on the same travel team, playing against each other for high school. He elbowed me in the chin, and it felt my head snap back, like, heard my neck crack, slashed him, whatever, play goes on. About 3 minutes later, I couldn't feel my right arm. So I went to my trainer. I'm like, hey, Cat, like can't feel my right arm. Like, what should I do? She's like, well, what happened? I'm like, well, I explained. She's like, you need to go to the hospital, like right now. I'm like, oh, okay. So I got off the ice, called my mom, like, hey mom, like we gotta go. She's like, what? She's like, well, trainer says I gotta go to the hospital. She's like, oh, okay. So about 2 hours later, finally get an x-ray, and the doctor said that I cracked my C3, C4 vertebrae. And if I'd gone back about another inch, I would have severed the spinal, or the spinal nerves coming out of that, which feed your diaphragm. So I would have asphyxiated on the ice because I wouldn't have been able to breathe. So that was something. The last one I'll do, that same year, I ended up going on a choir trip with my high school to France and Spain. And I ended up singing in front of, it's called Our Lady of Lourdes. Or the Sanctuary of Our Lady of Lourdes in Lourdes, France. And every year or every day they do a candlelight vigil. And me, like my choir and two other choirs, got to sing in front of like legitimately like thousands of people. The next day we sang in it was an underground basilica called the Basilica of St. Pius X, again in Lourdes, France. And this place was just like it looked like a parking garage, and it just had like an altar and all this stuff, and just like a sea of people, and like us and another like 3 or 4 choirs got to sing in front of that. So it was absolutely incredible, just incredible stuff.
And how do you think your experiences has sort of shaped the person that you are today in your adult life? What lessons have you learned through those experiences about yourself?
Sure. So they've definitely helped me like just be more open and honest with myself, like with my with my friends, with my family. Just because like being able to kind of get a glimpse of like I was legitimately an inch away from the end, just kind of living my life in a more like open, positive way, and just being honest with people instead of just playing these games, playing with these caveats, playing with these nuances or whatever. Just be honest, like still have fun, but like just be honest with people, because it's the easiest way to to get information and to give information.
And I know that you have a background in sports science. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
interested to know, how do you think sports science has evolved within the last 3 to 5 years?
Sure. So I'm very excited. So I kind of fell. So first of all, I kind of fell into sports science. I've been a strength and conditioning coach for the last like 5 or 6 years, and just now that I'm in with this company, New Jersey Sports Performance Lab, I'm kind of taking more of a sports science role. So I've been like really diving into this this aspect of strength and conditioning. But I could absolutely say like with just the capability of tracking, like tracking data has really come through in the last 3 to 5 years, just with the prevalence of velocity-based training, with the prevalence of like these different tracking systems, like a perch tracking system if you're doing any sort of like bar movements, like a squat, like a deadlift, or any sort of Olympic weightlifting in a rack. You have a camera system that's hung in the rack, so it can track velocity, it can track power, and you can see it on an iPad that's attached to the rack within, a split second. So that way, if we're training in season and we tell an athlete, hey, you have to hit, this speed in order to, trigger the exercise, to make sure that you're doing the proper exercise. Because if we're training for speed, we don't want somebody loading up a bar and then they go to, do the lift and they're slow. If we can see how fast they're going and give them a number and say, hey, you need to hit, 1.5 meters per second. That's usually like, 1.3 to 1.8. It's like kind of the standard for speed training. So if you hit, this basement, then, you're good to go. If you're under this, then we have to take weight off. So it's an easier way to kind of shepherd the athlete to the weight that they need to get to. Beyond that, I would say more accurate testing, just with like laser timing gates if we're tracking speed, as opposed, back when I was playing, playing sports, if we did testing any sort of, like a 10-yard sprint or a 40-yard dash, you have one person, start a stopwatch, end with a stopwatch. it's easy, it's effective, but at the same time, like it's not as accurate as it can be. Now we have, these laser gates where as soon as you run through a laser, it starts a timer. As soon as you run through a second laser, it ends the timer. So it's about as, it's down to the thousandth of a second, and you know exactly when the athlete, started, when the athlete ended. Beyond that, I would say just the prevalence and acceptance of recovery tools. So obviously now, there's, Hyperice, which bought Normatec. You have like compression, everything. You have just more access to recovery tools, where I feel that, back 3 to 5 years ago, that was a very specialized thing where you'd have to go to a physical therapist or a chiropractor to like get this, Now anybody can buy recovery tools and kind of work on themselves on their own.
And when we look at nutrition and exercise, how do you think that's interconnected to sports science? And what has you most excited about the advancements we've made in the field of exercise and nutrition?
Sure. So nutrition and exercise have always been kind of interconnected. Again, it's going back to that whole aspect of recovery. Nutrition and sleep, to me, are the two greatest things you can do for yourself in terms of recovery. I mean, right now we have our we train a tier 2 junior team in the North American Hockey League, and they're playing 2-3 games a weekend. They're skating 4 days. They're skating 4 days of practice a week with an optional fifth on the Friday. They have at least 2 to 3 games over the weekend, so they're skating close to 8 days, probably 6 to 8 days a week. On top of that, they're also, lifting with us twice a week, and we're doing mobility twice a week. So they have, 4 training sessions a week. They have to, one of the things we preach is, you have to get, good nutrition, not just, I'm going to go crush McDonald's after this because I need the calories, but getting calories from good sources, getting calories from, whole foods. So that way you can get not only the calories, but the nutrients without all the gunk in the way. So just making sure that, really just circling back to my point, like nutrition and training are interconnected, because the prevalence of how important nutrition is and how important recovery is, it's now starting to becoming more prevalent now. And just, speaking for myself for a second, I'm a vegan, and selfishly vegan, I'll call it. My wife's a vegan because she's into animal rights. I'm vegan because I feel great. The prevalence and the acceptance of plant-based nutrition and seeing the value in plant-based nutrition has me really excited too, because for a long time, I'll be perfectly honest, when I was in school, it was always kind of drilled into your head, in any nutrition class, it was always you can try this, but protein, I don't know. And then having lived it for the last 9 months, I can safely say I've maintained weight, I've lost fat, I've maintained my muscle mass. Protein's not a problem. It's your willingness to explore different options and explore different ways to get protein. That's most people's problem.
And I know that with your background in sports and the work that you do with hockey athletes there in New Jersey, I'm curious to know what brings you the most passion and satisfaction when you connect with the athletes you work with.
I would say what gets me the most satisfaction is the fact that these kids have what I didn't have when I played. These kids have so much access to information. They have so much access to better training programs, better recovery options, and to see the work that, myself and my staff have done, and to see these kids kind of flourish and, both on and off the ice. That's probably the best part for me. That's absolutely the best part.
And I'm curious to know, how do you think the pandemic has changed the way we work and train with athletes to make sure that they're still in tip-top shape in terms of their performance level and level of fitness?
Sure. So at least from my perspective, we have a very small facility right now. It's only about 1,500 square feet. We have a turf. We do have turf, but it's outside and there's no covering over it. So there's, we're kind of, especially at this point, it's November right now, playing with, there's a lot of there's a lot of things being shuffled around. There may be days where we have to train outside because, somebody's, we can't be inside because we have to be outside with the amount of people that we have. We have to, there may be days where we have to train inside because, for the last 3 days, it's been raining and the turf is soaked. We have to be we have to have a plan, but we have to have a plan B, plan C, and we have to have kind of a liquid plan. We can't have things set in stone. We have to have a good idea of what we want to do that day, but we have to be flexible in the way that we do it, essentially. For the athletes, it really doesn't change that much. In-season work is still in-season work for them. So I would say that for them, it's not as different. They're just wearing masks when they're inside. For us outside, they don't, if they're in the sunlight, we give them the option as long as they're socially distanced, it's not that big of a deal. But I would say on my end, it's a lot different because, there may, before the pandemic, there might be, some, we have to, do X, Y, and Z today because, it's this day. Now it's, we have to change because, COVID's a concern.
And I know that you live in New Jersey, so I'm curious, what's the best part for you living in New Jersey, buddy?
Best part right now, the best part for me, honestly, is my neighborhood. I'm in a very, very small town. It's very, very interwoven. Where I'm living right now, the street reminds me exactly of where I grew up. Everybody knows everybody. If I don't lock my doors at night, it's not the end of the world. I came home last night and somebody took my my recycling bin in for me. So it's everybody's very neighborly. Everybody's really just, they're neighborly, and it's awesome. It's really cool.
And I know that you're originally from Buffalo. So tell me, what do you miss about being home in Buffalo, if anything at all?
I would say, it's not really that big of a deal for me anymore because of my nutrition choices, but there's no good chicken wings down here. There's no chicken wings, and people always try to tell me you're from Buffalo. What do you think of these wings from this spot? I'm like, dude, no, just unless I know the guy who cooks the wings are from Buffalo, I would never try them because I've tried in a couple places and just no, not for me.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being loyal to your favorite chicken wings, huh?
Yeah. What's that?
I said there's nothing wrong with being loyal to your favorite chicken wings from home, right?
No, absolutely not. And the other fact is down here, there's only 2 places I can get Molson or Blue Light, and it's just tough because everyone loves Bud Light down here, and just no. I love Canadian beer. I'd much rather have Canadian beer over American beer any day of the week.
Well, I live here in Windsor. I was born in Ontario, so
Yeah.
I can appreciate that.
Oh hell yeah.
Hey, I'm also wondering, circling back to your love of music, what's on the top of your music playlist these days, buddy?
So I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna break this down into a few categories because. So again, I was in a band for probably about 4 or 5 years. I've been playing drums for most of my life. I've grew up on classic rock. So classic rock, punk, metal, 90s rap are usually always at the top of my playlist. So Led Zeppelin, Talking Heads, Bob Seger, Metallica, Slayer, Mastodon, Rob Zombie, Gangstar, Tribe Called Quest, Protest the Hero, Cypress Hill. Those are usually or Bad Religion, Smiths, Misfits. Those are usually always at the top. But I don't know. I've been trying to get into some more some different kinds of music now, especially just being in this very very go environment. Just trying to find more mellow music, I guess. to try to like slow me down a little bit, especially like when I get off work and I'm just like so like wired, just trying to like find stuff to kind of slow me down.
Yeah, and I got two more questions. Madia says that for any young professional who may be interested in entering the field of sports science, it's imperative that they find a mentor or a quality internship who and will be able to take them under their wing to show them the ropes in order to have a long and sustainable career.
Sure. So the best advice that I ever got, and I'll share it. This comes from Jake Biting, who was I mean, it doesn't sound as good right now, but he was the Houston Astros strength coach in 2017 when they won the World Series. Again, not the best person to be at that point, but anyway, I had the same exact conversation with him because at that point I was personal training. I was, trying to figure out like, where I wanted to go and take my next step to becoming more of a head strength and conditioning coach. And he said to me, it doesn't like, I don't care about how many, accolades you have. I don't care about how many certifications you have. If you have a bachelor's degree in exercise science and you have a good letter of recommendation, that's all I look for. I want to know that you know your stuff, and I want to know that you work well with others and that people want you to be there. If I see on your resume that you're, bouncing around from gym to gym, from location to location, that's going to raise a red flag for me, like with any other business. If I see that you're with a company for, 4 or 5 years and you went up in that company and you have a very good letter of recommendation, like that's the best part. So on top of that, I would say, definitely intern, absolutely intern. Heck, I got into this business when I was 25, and I can safely say that, where I am now, I had a little bit of luck, but a lot of it was just, working my tail off and really, diving into this stuff and learning as much as I could. The easiest way to do that is to intern at a facility.
Yeah, and my final question for you is, when you're not working, what do you like to do for fun? I know you mentioned your wife a couple of times and your family. So
Yep.
outside of the gym and the sports lab, what do you like to do for fun, bud?
Sure. So, like I've been married for a little over a year now. So my wife and I, we like to go.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, like we have a dog, so we'll go, go out to parks, let her run around. I like playing music, not only just listening, but also like I play drums still. I got my acoustic set and my electronic set in my house. So, I'll throw on whatever, just play along or just, kind of mess around, make my own stuff. I don't so much anymore right now because of how much work we have, but I do have a PS4 and my PS2. So I'll play some, NHL. I'll play some video games every, on the off chance I don't have yard work to do. Usually try to get a couple movies in a week, try to get some TV in. Haven't had too much success trying to find new movies. I watched the new Borat movie. It had its moments, but I mean, nothing will compare to the original one. For TV, still waiting on a couple series to come back from Netflix. So just trying to basically find some time, either on Amazon or on Hulu to get me through it.
Hey, fantastic, Eric. I want to take a few seconds to thank you for joining me this morning to talk about sports science, your personal life, and what keeps you busy in New Jersey. Really enjoyed our conversation, and I want to thank you for being here this morning. It's most appreciated.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kevin. It was awesome being on here, and no, it's great stuff. This was a blast. Thank you so much.
Man.